Quazi here. There are different dimensions to the mind that once tapped allow one to access different dimensions of experience. Throughout history, there have been a select few who've learned how to arrange their minds in this way and as a result have enjoyed massive success. However, there are also a painful majority who have struggled to achieve anything worthwhile in their lives, only to have fallen slave to their mind's compulsions. What do the select few know about the nature of the mind that the painful majority don't? See, over the last 7 years, I've been on a journey trying to figure this out. Let me share a quote with you that really, really angered me. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. This was said by one of the most powerful business magnates of the 20th century, John D. Rockefeller. And it seems like the fabric of our society is built on incentivizing brute work rather than creative thinking. Someone has set this in stone in our education system to create a generation of dumb workers who are only good at following instructions. I don't know about you, but as a kid, whenever I expressed an interest in intellectual endeavors, I was always bullied and cast aside as the nerd. In school, in the workplace, it seems like we constantly get shunned and struck down for thinking outside the box. Have you noticed those who are successful though? Ironically, they are the ones who have dared to think outside the box. And they persisted with their unique way of thinking and being, no matter how much resistance they were met with. And boom, they just seemingly become successful overnight. So what's the edge in their thinking that sets them apart? I believe they were able to utilize an important form of thinking known as four-dimensional thinking. And in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what it is, how you can use it to step outside of the box to create your own reality. I believe this is the single most important thing you can do as a creator of your destiny. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so before I get started with this, I want to give you a demonstration of what the four dimensions are. And to understand this, we gotta work from bottom to the top, from the first, second, third, and then fourth dimension. So to give you a demonstration of this, if we were one-dimensional beings, we could only conceive of a dot. It would just be a dot. There would be no other depth or length to this, right? So it would just be a dot. Now, when there is a line, it becomes two-dimensional. When we can connect two dots together, 2 points together, and conjoin them with a line, we immediately go into two dimensions. So we have a big old dot, and then we have another dot, and we join them together. That's how we get a two-dimensional entity. Now, if we want to get to the third dimension, we join two lines with a depth. So we have another line, and we join it together, and now this becomes a three-dimensional box. So this is three dimensions. So it's hard to conceive of what the fourth dimension potentially could be. So three dimension is space. There is a concept in physics known as space-time. Space is within, so space is also related to time. The nature of space changes with respect to time, right? So what influences change in matter throughout space? It's time. As time evolves, if time were static, then nothing would change. There would be no movement. But as time evolves from past, present, future, we see movement of this matter, which then signifies to us that the fourth dimension must be time. So now you might be wondering, what does this have to do with fourth dimensional thinking? If we learn to see past, present, future all occurring right now, superimposed in one moment, in this present moment, we tap into this fourth dimension thinking. Now, this might sound a little bit complex, but as we get through this, it'll make a lot more sense. Human beings, naturally, how do we think? We only think of either the past, or the present, or the future. right? So we're always either thinking about things that happened in the past, things that we anticipate in the future, or the thing that we're preoccupied doing right now. That's when we become present. And there's always talk of being present to the moment. All these spiritual teachers, they tell you to be more present to the moment. But let me ask you this, how can you be past? How can you be future? You can think about past and future, but it's all in the present moment. The problem is we think about it in isolation. We can't think about it in conjunction, in unity. In yoga, the word yoga literally means to bring as one. When we learn to bring past, present, future into one, we effectively tap into four-dimensional thinking. And this took me a very, very long time to understand the importance of it and how to actually make use of it. But I want to share with you a quote by Nevilles Quote, which really made sense of this for me. He said, "Do not waste one moment in regret, for to think feelingly of the mistakes of the past is to reinfect yourself. Turn from appearances and assume the feeling that would be yours were you already the one you wish to be." So here's something important that he mentioned. He mentioned this concept of thinking feelingly. Have you heard this before? Think feelingly. When we think feelingly of the things that we want in this present moment, we're effectively thinking four-dimensionally, right? So fourth dimensional thinking has to do with the feeling. When you can unite your heart and your mind, you're effectively bringing the future into right now, okay? So to create the life that you want, you've got to assume the thing that you want has already happened and function from that vibrational state, from that state of being. So your focus has to be on unity of heart and mind, which is thinking feelingly. So when we have a unity of heart and mind, we're immediately thinking feelingly and we're immediately tapping into the fourth dimension. To give you an example of this and why I think most people fail is I recently realized this while I was playing golf. And whenever I set up to a shot and I think about the kind of shot shape that I want to play, I set up to the ball with that picture in mind. I assume that I'm already going to play that shot. But then what happens is when I fail, somewhere along the way, I lose my focus. I start to focus on something else, like a body part, or I focus on the ball, or I focus on my club, instead of just keeping my focus, my picture, my internal world glued to that shot that I've assumed it will naturally make. And so when I fail to do that and I get distracted by something, guess what happens? I don't hit the shot. I mess up. But the times when I do set up to the ball with the shot shape in mind, and I can feel it with every single bone in my body that I'm going to execute on this shot, that is going to happen. And it's usually like when I set up with the driver and I want to play a fade, and I think about the fade, and I feel it, and I hold that picture. I hold true to the assumption. And when I execute on it, that's exactly what happens. I just let it go into that picture, right? I learned that from my golf coach. But it's so funny how applicable that is to life. How many times has it happened that you've set about on an intention and you've made an assumption, but then you got distracted by something that's happened daily, like something that's happened in your life? So the problem is we can't stay attuned to that future, to that thing that we want to create. Therefore, we're not moving towards it anymore. When our focus gets diverted, we start to shift from different lifelines, right? So the reason why this fourth dimensional thinking becomes so crucial is because if you look at the fabric of reality, if you accept this one model I'm going to throw at you, it's that the past, present, and future all exist in this current moment. It's kind of like a film reel, okay? Reality operates as a film reel. All of these moments exist right now. So in the film reel, you have all of the events that are on the film reel in this moment. But the projector light that's shining only projects one moment at a time, right? There's an instantaneous moment that's being projected into reality. It's being streamed into reality. Just like that, that's how reality is being manifested. We are projecting just one particular moment of this film reel right now. For us, the goal is to craft this reel in a way that we would like to. So when the light gets shown, at that right time, we experience the reality that we want. And this is where thinking feelingly comes in. So to influence this film reel and the events of this film reel, we got to think feelingly. And by the way, you can use this to change the past too. I'm not talking literally, but your recollection of the past. And when you do that, when you recontextualize the past, what happens is it starts to contribute to the present that you experience and the future that you start to experience. Okay? So this is where Nevilles Quote comes in handy as well. Do not waste one moment in regret for the past. For to think feelingly of the mistakes of the past is to reinfect yourself. So you keep that film reel running, right? So you might be asking now, how can we use this to our advantage? Well, I've crafted this methodology for you that's going to explain to you exactly how to use it. So let's jump right into that. So this methodology is very, very similar to that example that I gave you of me hitting that golf shot. It has to begin with you picturing your goal, the thing that you want to manifest, the thing that you want to achieve, whether this be a year from now, 5 years from now, or that next milestone. I always recommend the next milestone that you want to achieve in your life. Let's say you have a business, you're doing 6 figures, you want to get from 10K a month to 20K a month, you want to double your revenue. So you picture what it's like to double your revenue, what life looks like once you have doubled your revenue, after you have doubled your revenue. What does it feel like? What are you doing? You picture that, you hold that picture in mind, and you hold that feeling in your heart. Hold the picture in your mind and the feeling in your heart, and then approach your daily life, the things that you're doing day to day, from that feeling state. In this way, we're bringing the future into the present. We're increasing the probability that we would go from this present moment. This present moment would actually lead to that future that we've chosen. So we begin with the picture and the feeling. So we are thinking feelingly, we're achieving unity of heart and mind. The second step, again, is think feelingly of it. And when we do that, we essentially focus on the future. The third step is very, very important, and no one ever talks about this, is accept the events of the past. Because what will happen is naturally you will get distracted. Something will happen, oh, but in the past I've tried to double my business and it didn't happen, and I tried this strategy and that didn't work out. Okay, accept it. Accept that it didn't work out, but that doesn't mean it won't work out again. That doesn't mean that you're going to try and fail again. And even if you do fail, that's all right as well. You're learning a lesson. Accept failures of the past. And in this way, we focus on past. So now we've successfully aligned the future and the past. And when you picture the goal that you have and you bring it into this present moment, and then you take action on what is necessary, you unite the past, present, and future to think 4-dimensionally. So now we're effectively using 4-dimensional thinking in order to accomplish the things that we want. So the last step is to hold, picture, and act. And what will happen is the actions that you take, the things that you must do, will start to get almost flavored by that vibration that you're holding, by that thought and feeling state that you're holding. So those actions will become the bridge between your current reality and this future that you want. Okay? So what I want you to do right now is click right here. I made a comprehensive video on the art of identity shifting, which I believe is one of the most powerful ways in which you can change your reality. As you know, our external world is solely a reflection of our internal worlds. When we can learn how to shift our identity, we're making a complete shift in our internal world. So I've made this video, it's 50 minutes long, and it's one of the most comprehensive videos you're going to find on YouTube. You can just click right here to watch it, and I will see you in the next video right now. Thanks.